Well, Cornell Law School is the law school of Cornell University, a private Ivy League university in Dhaka, New York. One of the five Ivy League law schools, it offers so many degree programs such as JD, LLM, etc. It has consistently ranked within the top tier of medical legal institutions and undoubtedly one of the most prestigious, oldest law schools in the country. Hi everyone, you're watching the Virtual Amicus and I'm Jay Lodha. So today's topic for discussion would be on Cornell Law School Master's Program, and joining us today on the Virtual Amicus is a very distinguished and illustrious alumnus of this very prestigious law school. So today we are joined by Mr. Sunny Shah. And just to give you all a brief introduction about our Amicus for today's session, he comes and belongs to a family of professionals. His parents and his elder brother are doctors, and most of his relatives are chartered accountants. In fact, in his family's name is in the India's book of records, having the most number of chartered accountants, that it was 22 in number. He also decided to pursue law because nobody else in the family was a lawyer. As far as legal education is concerned, he's completed and studied LLB from NLU Jodhpur, batch of 2012, and also studied his master's LLM from Cornell Law School, USA in 2014-2015. Far as law firm experience is concerned, after completing his LLB, he worked in Amarchand Mangaldas and Suresh A. Shroff and Company, now split into Cam and Sam, for a couple of years before he pursued LLM from Cornell Law School, USA 2014-2015. And after finishing his master's and completing his LLM, he returned back to India to pursue counsel practice. He joined the chambers of Mr. Gautam Akhad in Mumbai, since there is a divide between practicing as a solicitor, which is advocate on record, and as a counsel, who's briefed by solicitors to appear in court. He being more interested in appearing in court, so decided to pursue counsel practice. So thank you so much, sir, for taking out time, for your kind consent for a session on Cornell Law School Master's Program. Anything that you wish to say before we start with our Q&A segment, sir?
Oh, thank you, Jay, for introducing me and having me in this channel. Happy to be here. So, yeah, we can start.
Very well, sir. So let's quickly start with our Q&A segment. So question number one, at what stage of the LLB undergraduation course did you decide to study further and pursue the master's program?
So masters was always in my mind, as you said, that I have a family background of professionals. So both my parents had studied abroad in US. My elder brother had studied abroad. So I always thought that I will also study abroad. So while I was in law school in NLU Jodhpur, that was always there in my mind that after this I have to study further. It was just very natural to me that you have to pursue for higher studies. But in law, I think things work differently. Masters is not a mandatory thing as it would be in cases of medicine. So while I was talking to people from my college, some have been for masters. In fact, quite very few people go for masters as right in my college, about 10% or 15% of people, or maybe even lesser. So I spoke to them, but the people who went, the people who had done very well in college, and yes, I always had it in my mind that I will end up going for further studies. I initially thought I will go immediately after completing my LLB. But I think before the application process started, there was a recruitment drive in my college. So that happened at the beginning of my fifth year or and the process would start somewhere 2 to 3 months after that for your LLM application. So I didn't know whether I will get into any college in LLM. So I thought I will sit for the recruitments. So I sat for the recruitments and I got a job offer from Amarchand. So I had to decide whether to take it up or not take it up. And I thought it's safer to take it up. And I can always pursue LLM after a couple of years of WorkX. So that was my process. I decided that I will work for a few years because I'd got a job. And I thought after a couple of years, I'll go for my master's. So yeah, even when I took up a job in Amarchand, I always had it in my back of my mind that I have to go for LLM after working there for 2 years or so. But it became very different after I started work. You know, while you are in a student phase, studies came very naturally to you. So after completing your LLB, it would have been very normal for me to go for LLM and complete my studies and then start work. But once you start work, it becomes a little bit of a difficult decision because then you are thinking whether you should like leave your work and study further and then join back, restart everything. But eventually, I think my parents really motivated me to go forward and study further. And even people whom I worked with after completing my LLB also motivated me that you should go for your higher studies, and you have your entire life to work. So yeah, generally people around me motivated me to go, and then so that's the process. That's how I applied for my LLM.
Fantastic, sir. So now going ahead with our next question. In a nutshell, sir, if you could tell us, when is the applicant required to start with the preparation, the entire application process, and what all is required for the same in terms of the prerequisites for the master's program? Does he require or she require to have a robust CV or a solid statement of purpose, good grades? How important are internships for the purpose of getting admission and securing admission there?
So what all works, nobody can really definitely say.
Yeah.
There are no exams that you have to give. It's just an application that you fill for LLM. And the I think the time you start applying or start the process would be, I think, at least 6 months before your application deadline date. So when you start up, then you understand what the process is, what all you will be required to do to fill the application form. So a part of that process is that you need to get letters of recommendations from few people. For every college, the requirements are a bit different. But to get that letters of recommendations, you need to approach people. So if you are going directly out of college, out of LLB, you will get your letters of recommendations from your professors in the college. Or if you've done internships with some senior advocates or judges, you'll get letters of recommendations from them. So to approach them, you also have to give them enough time to write a letter of recommendation for you. So you have to keep that buffer, at least a month or two. Then you will have to work on your statement of purpose, where you write as to why are you applying for LLM, and what do you seek to achieve out of it? What is your purpose behind the LLM? You make your CV. Your CV may not take much time. It's not that you can do a lot in that 6 months to add to your CV. So yeah, your grades really help. If you have done well in your college, that's really an added benefit to get you an admission for LLM. Your internships would help if you worked with senior advocates, if you worked with judges of the High Court or the Supreme Court. Maybe that will add value. If you've done something different, even if it's not law related, if you've done something different, that also may add value. So all these, I think it will take about 6 months. And considering that either you are applying when you are studying or when you are working, you need to keep that balance as well. So for me, while I was working in a law firm, those were demanding hours from the law firm. So I used to only get weekends to work on this process. And then you will talk to people who've gone for LLM. You will try and understand from them what works, what does not work. You will ask them for tips, talk to them. So yeah, you should keep 6 months at least.
So in a nutshell, sir, 6 months buffer is what is
Yeah.
required, and a bit of everything that probably would add value and help you securing
Yeah.
it. And there's no straight jacket formula as such.
There's no straight jacket for me now.
Very well, sir. So now, going ahead, did you shortlist any of the law schools other than Cornell, and why did you narrow it down only to Cornell? Is it because it is one of the most prestigious law schools in the world, or because of the prestige value of the course that you'd opted for attached to it?
So I mean, generally, people who had gone for LLM before me, when I spoke to them, usually you either apply to US colleges or you apply to Europe colleges, and also some people apply to both. For each college, it's a cumbersome process. Their application forms, their application fees. So for me, I personally decided that I will go to US. Maybe it was my personal choice. People have choices of going to UK or Europe as well. I maybe decided because I had my elder brother studying there that time. And so I narrowed it down to US colleges and I applied to the top US colleges. So the colleges I applied to Harvard, I applied to Columbia, I applied to University of Chicago, to New York University, and to Cornell. So I applied to these five colleges. And for me, the process of narrowing down was really, I got rejected by a few, I got waitlisted by a few, and I got into Cornell. And I was reasonably happy to get into any of these. So yeah, that is how I had a job. I had an offer from Cornell, so yes, so that's how it happened.
In Ithaca being such a popular place and such a happening place, all the more reason for say you to opt for this wonderful option. So it's always better. So the more the merrier, the more the options that you have, you know,
Hmm.
it's better. You're in a better position to opt for the best possible law school that is available to you. It's always better to
Yeah,
apply to a number of law schools, all prestigious ones, and then accordingly.
yeah. But usually, what I've heard is people apply to about maximum of 7, not more than that.
Yeah,
So
because even the application fee is hefty.
yeah,
I
application fee is also hefty, and I mean, you want to go to the top ones. You don't want to go to any college. It is not like masters in other fields where it is a must. I
yes,
think in law, it's okay if you don't go for masters.
yes,
And if you go, you should rather go to one of the best universities in the world.
correct.
So yes, that's how I applied to only 5, and I thought maybe I'll get into one of these 5, and fortunately I did. But yeah, I think about maximum of 7 colleges people apply to.
Right. So now, talking about the courses at Cornell, what all courses are available, and which ones would you recommend, and which ones did you ultimately opt for?
So in Cornell, we have a general LLM. So there are 2 types of LLMs you can go for. One is a specific LLM. So for instance, I think Stanford offered a specific environmental law LLM where you only study environmental law subjects. Most of the colleges have a general LLM course. Now, a general LLM really means this, that you can study the subjects which you like. So there are about 50 subjects you have to choose from. Each subject has certain points. You have to have a minimum number of points. And there is also a maximum limit of the number of points you can study while you are there. So between that, in that range, you have to select the subjects which you can study. So it's all on your choice, what you want to do. I wanted to be into litigation. So I could choose subjects which I think would have helped me. So I chose subjects like trial advocacy, where you learn how to conduct a trial. I chose subjects like arbitration, dispute resolution, where you understand how arbitration works. So there are certain subjects which will be mandatory, which every LLM student will take, like an introduction to the American legal system. You have to take that course. And if you want to give the New York bar exam, there are certain subjects which are mandatory. So you'll study maybe even subjects like family law and all you'll have to take to understand. Because if you want to practice in New York, you need to know those basic subjects. So yes, so that is how you select the courses. And there are 2 semesters. So and you can choose the courses either in the first semester or the second semester. It's not like India where the subjects like this you'll get only in the first semester, these subjects only in the second semester. You can choose your subjects and study them when you like.
That luxury of opting for a particular course is always there. Your subject is always there.
Yeah, so they keep it completely your choice what you want to study.
That's wonderful to know because
And your classes will be conducted along with the JD students who are doing the JD 3-year course in US.
oh,
So yeah, so that is nice in a way. You get to study what you like. People who are interested in corporate law will choose subjects which they like business organizations, and
mhm.
people are interested in property law will select subjects. So you may not have the same classmates for every lecture. Every lecture, your classmates are different.
That is what this course is probably all about, pursuing your passion and going
Right. So
where you
that's why it helps after doing a work ex. In fact, if I would have gone directly after college, I would have been a little bit clueless on what subjects I should choose.
correct.
But having worked a bit, I had a little idea what I want to do in my career, and
Mm,
I could choose the subjects which I wanted to study.
absolutely. Now, how rigorous was the course at Cornell? If you can talk about the examination pattern, the lectures conducted there, and how different are, the courses taught there different from the ones that are taught here?
So it is rigorous, but it is quite manageable for an Indian student. The amount of things which we read in our courses, at least in NLUs, they used to make us read a lot. So it is quite manageable. Indian students were able to manage the course as well. The way the lectures were conducted was something which was very different from an Indian college. So that is where I found the major distinction between studying in an NLU and studying in Cornell. So there you don't have lectures where teachers are talking and you are listening and making notes. You are told from before that you have to read this all reading material, and you have to read and go. If you don't read and go, you will not understand anything in the lecture, and you may embarrass yourself also in the lecture. So the lectures will start like, okay, Sani, tell me what this case law says and what are your views about it. Now, if you've not read it, you are just putting yourself in a very embarrassing situation, and everybody reads and comes. So you cannot just not read and attend a lecture. So therefore, your evenings also before the lectures, you have to spend some time reading those lectures, those reading materials. So it's a very discussion-oriented lecture where somebody will start with something which is part of the reading material, and the other person may then express his views on it. The teacher will express his views on it, and that's how the entire lecture is conducted. There's nothing like a teacher talking and you are just making notes. So, in fact, it's very difficult to even miss a lecture over there. If you miss a couple of lectures, you don't know what's going on in class. You can't just read it and make it up for it. So there may be some added things which the professor has said. Nobody really takes down notes very well, like how here you're just jotting down each and every word which a professor says, and then you're just reading it for exams. It's very different there. It's more on your understanding of the subject rather than just cramming up things.
So I think understanding of the concept is there, and
Yeah, the
rote
concept.
learning and just cut
Yeah,
copy pasting and
focus
getting
is
notes xeroxed also. That is what we do end up doing here in most of.
correct. And as far as the examination is concerned, so there are exams again in a classroom, but all exams are given on a laptop. So nothing is handwritten. So you are just typing it. They have a software where you just write. Everything is timed. So it depends on the subject. Some are open book exams where you have the reading material, but they really don't help much because all very concept oriented questions. And some are not open book. In some cases you may have to cram up a bit. But yeah, so that's what it's just your skill to be able to finish the exam on time because
So in a nutshell, I think a very rigorous program, but manageable. And two, you have to be well prepared. You don't have an option, and because the understanding of your concepts is tested in the examinations that are conducted.
yeah, so not every subject is every day. So
Yes.
uh, like how we would have over here, like the same subject every day, Monday to Friday. It's not like that because you also cannot choose subjects in a way which would clash with each other because you are choosing subjects of your choice. So there is a timetable as to when these subjects will be conducted. So when you are choosing a subject in a particular semester, you have to see that the other subject is not in the same time slot. And to a large extent, they try to keep it separate. So some subjects are only twice a week, some are thrice a week. So it's like that. So that's why it becomes manageable. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult.
Very well, sir. Now going ahead with our next question. Did the master's program benefit you here? And would you like to share any memorable experience from campus life and any lessons that you learned there?
It does help. In firstly, the that you studied an LLM from a prestigious college will add some brand value to you. Will just people knowing that okay, you studied from Cornell, people will start taking interest in you, maybe start taking you seriously. And this is something which you experience while you're in practice. Somebody says, "Oh, you've done from Cornell." Automatically, some sort of appreciation comes towards you. They start taking you a little more seriously, even if they don't know you. So that is one benefit. Second, as regards what you study there, not everything that you study there will have application in your practice over here, because eventually over there is you're studying with intent of practicing in US. It's American laws, but certain things really help me, and in particular the course of trial advocacy that I did, that really helped me, because how to conduct a trial they taught us over there, which was something which was not taught to me in NLU. So that has really helped. In practice, it is quite useful. You come across, you have to conduct trials, you have to conduct cross examinations. So the tips they provide, how to ask questions, what questions to ask. We had so many mock trials almost every week or once in 2 weeks. So once they arrange for a mock trial in an actual courtroom with actual judges, and an actual layman as a jury. So all those are fun experiences, and that is something which has helped. Basically, whatever subjects where your concepts come into play, that all helps. And thirdly, I think the fact, your exposure that you get studying there. You're studying in a very, very prestigious university, some university whose name is heard all across the world. There are people from all over the world who come and study there. You talk to them. They're all lawyers from different jurisdictions. You talk to them, understand how the system works in their country, what they've studied, what they plan to do in future. All that really, that exposure, I think, is very important. It expands your horizon to a bit. So, though not everything you study has a direct application, but yeah, all these benefits are there about studying over there. And as regards my most memorable experience while I was in Cornell, I think it definitely is about just coming across people from different jurisdictions. Like people were there from all over the world, just spending time with them, talking to them. That is what this whole course was about for me. Like I studied all that and all that, but just understanding how the system works in different countries, how the lifestyle is in different countries, how they pursue their career in different countries. So all that I think was the most memorable part of for me.
So in short, I think securing admission at a prestigious law school like Cornell is like a certificate of merit. I mean, securing admission is definitely a big thing. So that speaks volumes of how much effort you must have put in, because in 90% of the law schools, the curriculum is so rigorous. And in spite of being exhausted by the end of those 5 years, you still had still it's a very courageous thing to apply for a master's program subsequent to that, because most of the alumni probably look for a job. That is how the trend has been. But then to apply for masters and gain work experience prior to that, and then securing admission at Cornell and studying then, and then passing the exams, I mean, definitely it's a very big achievement. It's not easy, and not everybody is able to do it.
So it's not that. I mean, I think while you are a student, it can come naturally. You can study for a few years more, and the thing is, it's very expensive, these courses. So that is a big barrier for a lot of people to pursue masters. But also after I started working, it was not a very easy decision to make, because I also then started having I had started having thoughts whether I should go for LLM. I'm doing well. I've got a job in a good firm. Whether I should continue. Why should I leave my practice? So I used to get those thoughts, and what is the benefit I'm going to get out of it? So I had a few incidents which happened while I was working, which then helped me then pursue it. So once I was in court waiting for my matter, and I was talking to a partner of a big firm, and we were just waiting for our matters. And that partner, I just told him that I'm thinking of going for LLM. I'm not very sure about it. So he said that I've been practicing for 40 years and I've done well, but the only regret I have is that I didn't go for my LLM, because you are going to end up working your entire life. And this one opportunity of studying in such universities is something you are not going to be able to get once you start getting into your practice. So that was one thing. And then once a senior advocate practicing in the Bombay High Court had come to my office, and my senior whom I'm working with told him that Sunny is having double thoughts about this. and he's got through Cornell, but he's still wondering whether he should go or no, because he started his practice. If he goes, he has to restart it. So he's like, if he's got into a university for L.L.M, then it's a no-brainer. He has to go. So that coming from, people like senior advocates and partners in law firm. So yeah, even now that it's many years since I've completed the course, I would also recommend, like now you're just going to work all your life. You're going to grow in your practice. But this age is not going to come back. This time is not going to come back. So if you have an opportunity and if you have the financial means, go for it.
If you have the opportunity and if you can afford it, then that's absolutely a no-brainer. You have to go for it.
Yeah.
So now going ahead with our next question, who was your mentor in this illustrious journey of yours, sir, from the application procedure to finish the master's program, if at all you had any?
No, definitely a lot of people. Firstly, definitely my parents who encouraged me that, you should study as much as you can before you start your work. They had done it and they had found merit in it. So they always encouraged me. As far as of course, they are not lawyers, so they could not guide me through the application process. But through the application process, it's your seniors from college who guide you. People who've been there, who've gone through the process, and studying from actually any university, law university in India, your seniors are very helpful. In my college, also, my seniors were very helpful. So all those people who had gone abroad to study for L.L.M, they really guide you through the entire process. Whenever you have any doubts, you just talk to somebody who has either been to that college or been to any other college in that country, and they really guide you. And even the professors, like from whom I had asked for my letters of recommendations, or the partner from where I was working in Amarchand, their letters of recommendations, they all were very helpful through the entire process. They tell you what you should write, what you should not write, and I mean, we have had people approaching me also to help them guide. And, it's always like I would, without a thought, I just guide them. If anybody wants to apply for L.L.M, you obviously guide them.
Just like we decided to approach you, and seek assistance from you on this master's program.
Well, yeah, so anybody, I mean, even if I don't know those people, if somebody says I'm applying to Cornell or I've got through Cornell, what all I should know, I'll obviously be happy to help.
Absolutely, sir. Especially when that person is an alumnus, it definitely helps in
Yeah.
terms of procedure, in terms of the application procedure and anything. And now, sir, what would be your piece of advice to all the young law students who wish to apply to Cornell for an L.L.M?
So as I said, start a little early, because I felt I started a little late. And especially when you are working, and especially in a corporate law firm, finding time becomes very difficult. So start a little early, and even start especially your letters of recommendations early, to identify from whom you have to get. So it may be a little back and forth, and so that is the main advice. And second is, talk to people who've been through this process. You will understand a lot from them. You'll learn a lot from them. And yeah, any if somebody who's been through that same college, it really helps. It helps with everything around it also.
Definitely, sir. Now, sir, what about scholarships for those who do not have who are financially not very sound and who belong to very humble backgrounds? What about scholarships? Is there any, does Cornell offer any in terms of financial assistance or on merit?
So Cornell, I think, would afford to very few people who are from maybe a low income group, or maybe somebody really meritorious. Well, apart from the university, there are many other scholarships in India which you can look for, and you should look for. It's eventually a very expensive course, and that process also is very time consuming. So there at least there are some senior advocates who give scholarship. There are some corporates who give scholarships. So maybe somebody or the other will have made a list of people from whom you can apply for scholarships, and you need to have the time to do that, because they also have their own process. And that's why also you start early, and you should, like, if you can get scholarship, of course, nothing wrong with it. So, but yeah, keep time for that. and you will end up getting something or the other. Some senior or the other will end up, or some corporate will end up giving you something. Maybe not the entire tuition fees, but at least some part of it. Yeah.
Now, sir, talking about hostel accommodation on campus, does Cornell guarantee or you have to apply separately?
So Cornell has no in-campus accommodation for LLM students. They only give it to their freshers who are doing other courses in Cornell.
Mm.
But there's adequate accommodation outside of the campus, just outside of the campus. So I was staying in an accommodation which was just 2 minutes from the entrance. So there are, as you know, there are two areas in Ithaca. One is the downtown area and one is the college town area. The college town area is very close to the college campus. It's also more expensive than the downtown area because this Ithaca is mostly a student crowd. It's mostly known for the Cornell University. So yeah, even though the accommodation near the campus is more expensive, considering how the weather in Ithaca is, you should prefer that because it gets really cold in Cornell. It's for 4-5 months it's in minus degrees. So and to walk in that snow, I mean, from downtown it's very difficult. It's also an uphill walk. So preferably you should stay in the college town area if you're getting into Cornell. Yeah.
And so, talking about the placement situation, the placement landscape, especially post-COVID, how is it in the US at the moment, post the master's program?
I wouldn't know. So post-COVID scenario, I wouldn't know.
Of course, yeah.
I went in 2014,
But how
15.
was it back then, sir, when you had
So
pursued master's?
back then also it was very difficult. And it's not only Cornell, it's across all LLM courses. 1 year course will be very difficult to find a good job in US. I mean, it's definitely possible. You have to put that efforts. I personally did not want to stay back. I wanted to come back and continue my practice. So I did not try very hard for a job. But what I've heard, I mean, it's not very easy to get a job after completing the LLM course. So if somebody wants to settle down in US and they're very sure about settling in US, people prefer to do the JD course instead of the LLM course. And yeah, so it's not very easy. There is of course a possibility. College also helps you. There is a recruitment drive also. And some people who are really interested in continuing to work there for some time, they send their CVs to hundreds of organizations and you can get a job. It's not that it's not possible, but you may not get the best of the positions in these law firms. But just for the experience, if you want to work there for some time, it's quite possible.
Very well, sir. And lastly, sir, I mean, although it's a very technical question, you can choose not to answer at all. But what are the visa requirements as far as application procedure is concerned, and what kind or type of visa is required?
It's not. This is the simplest part of the whole thing. So it's a student visa in US, which everybody applies for. I think it's called F1 visa. And once you get an offer from a college, and you just show that when you apply for your visa, if you just show that, you will get the visa. In fact, when I went for my interview, they said, "Oh, Cornell, of course, welcome, welcome." So it's visa is the simplest part of the process. That is not very difficult. And with that visa, you can also work for another year
Oh, okay.
after completing your LLM. So yeah, up to 1 year you can get some work, and then you have to apply for a different visa if you want to work there, continue to work there.
Basically, the visa is valid till the currency of the course it expires. The currency
Plus 1 year.
plus 1 year extra. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you can work there. After you've completed your course, you can continue to work there for another year on that visa.
That's wonderful.
So
Because
as far as I
tourist
remember, that
visa,
is.
yeah, the tourist visa is for a period of 10 years. So I think the student visa probably would be for 1+1, the extra additional.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes. Well, sir, thank you so much for taking out time for doing this session for us. Really means a lot to me and my entire team. Cornell Law School, well, to all the viewers who are watching, is a dream for many, but very few people make it, not because of lack of merit, but because of lack of guidance. So when back then, when we were in law school, we never had a channel, we never had a mentor. But now, Sunny sir decided to take out time and to help you out. So in case of any other queries, our email is mentioned on the channel. Feel free to write to us, and we'll be more than happy to forward the same to our amicus for today's session, Mr. Sunny Shah. Sir, anything that you wish to say as parting words before we wrap up our segment on Cornell Law School?
Thanks a lot, Jay. This is brilliant that you have this channel. Even when I was applying, I never had any channel to visit to understand the process. So this really helps a lot of people who may not know somebody who has gone for LLM and all. And I hear you do a lot of different kinds of lectures. So I think all that has kudos to you. It's a brilliant initiative. So all the best with your channel.
Thank you
I'm
so much.
really happy to be here, happy to come see you, happy to meet.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah.
I had a great time recording this, and we hope to see you again on another subject, on another legal topic. To all the viewers who are watching, where email is mentioned, feel free to write to us, and we'll be more than happy to respond to the same. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, it's goodbye for now.
Bye bye.